Are you constantly choosing partners who are giving you an emotional roller coaster? Are you experiencing pain and abuse in a relationship but cannot leave for some reason? Are you forgiving them and believing they will change? If you answered yes to these three questions, you might be in a trauma-bonded relationship. So in this video, we are going to talk about why that happened to you and how to break through this cycle so you have a chance for a happier relationship. My name is Darina and I'm doing my psychology postgrad in Australia. Let's get started. So I actually went through some literature and I found this really nice and concise description. Trauma bonding has been described by behavioral scientists as an innate and automatic survival mechanism that is prompt in response to experiencing isolation and inescapable violence while perceiving some benevolence and kindness demonstrated by the abuser. Of course, it comes from our childhood, so how does this mechanism work? As kids, we naturally rely on our carers for safety and comfort, but imagine if your mom, dad or boss sometimes hurt us instead of always being there to protect us. It would be very confusing, right? Now picture this. Amid the tough times, they randomly show kindness or apologize. It messes with our head. So are they good or bad? Our brains try to make sense of it by seeing nice moments as love. This mix-up creates what we call trauma bonding. It's when, despite the ups and downs, we feel attached to them, seeing them as both source of hurt and savior. It is so crazy, isn't it? So when we are adults and entering a romantic relationship, these kinds of behaviors demonstrated by our partner seem normal. Under normal, I mean familiar. It is like childhood trauma, such as abuse, neglect, or witnessing violence, can shape a person's understanding of relationships and create vulnerabilities that make them more likely to bond with others who share similar experiences of trauma. That's why people who are prone to trauma bonding are having a hard time experiencing feelings of love and deep connection to someone who is predictable, who is kind, as this is something they are not familiar with. And we are all aware of familiarity principle, which states that people tend to develop a preference for things simply because they're familiar with them. In other words, the more often we are exposed to something, the more we tend to like it. Here is the paradox of such a relationship. If you are going to ask every person who is in a trauma-bonded relationship if they are happy, the common answer will be absolutely not, and all of them will demonstrate a desire for a loving, trustworthy, gentle and kind partner. But as soon as they meet the one, it just doesn't click. By the way, guys, before we continue, please don't forget to hit the like button, as it really helps me as a new creator to develop this channel. I love this expression that says we cannot fall in love with someone who does not exist in our subconscious mind. A woman or a man prone to trauma bond will just not see people like that, since that kind and loving person is just not present in their system of coordinates. And moreover, if they have the power to break the relationship that makes them miserable and leave a toxic and abusive person, the next relationship will just replicate the ones that they just left. It is like they're like a magnet for all kinds of destructive people. And what is important to notice is that everyone who prone to trauma bonding is going to have their own kind of person that traumatizes them, and this person has to match the trauma they experienced in the past. For example, if you had a cold, unapproachable mother, most likely you will have a partner that is neglectful and does not care about your feelings. Or if you had a parent who laid their hand on you and you have been physically punished, there is a great chance you will have a partner that is going to be physically abusive also. Interesting, isn't it? Because you might think that if my father were beating me, I probably would want a partner who is oppositely kind and gentle. Of course you want it, that's for sure, but you are subconsciously choosing the person who is doing exactly the same as your father. And the key word here is subconsciously. Why is that? Because a trauma wants to be relieved. This process is often called trauma repetition or trauma reenactment. In the context of relationship, this may manifest as a person subconsciously attracting situations or partners that replicate the same dynamics or behavioral patterns present in their childhood or earlier relationships. It could be an attempt to win the situation or change the outcome through new relationships. For example, coming back to the example of a cold and neglectful mother. When a person chooses a partner with the same characteristics, they try really hard to be perfect and to not let this happen again. They wonder, if I will do this and this, for example, if I will be obedient, if I'm gonna be a good boy or a good girl, my mom will love me. In this case, it is the partner who they want to deserve love, and trying to replay this trauma related to their mom. Replay it with the partner, but on your terms. Or in childhood, when their father was beating them up, they were speaking back. That's what made the father even more angry. So the person thinks, if I will be quiet and keep my mouth shut, my partner will eventually stop being physically violent to me, and so on. However, in most cases, it never works, as the harder the victim tries, the more aggressive the perpetrator becomes. So, in a nutshell, people in trauma-bonded relationship usually don't have any objective reason to stay. They become very good at rationalizing and gaslighting themselves. So they stay in relationships with the wrong person for a long time. They constantly have to somehow prove to themselves that these reasons to stay exist, and they are telling themselves that even though they feeling so bad, even though their partner did this unacceptable thing, this action that basically doesn't fit into the concept of healthy relationships, they love them and they miss them, and for the sake of love they have to endure everything, because the love will help them to change eventually. So, what is the solution? How to overcome a trauma bond? There are two ways to go. The first one is probably the most obvious, is to see a therapist that will help you to heal your traumas, so you will not attract such partners anymore. Another way to go is to do a self-work. And if you are curious what are those self-help steps in overcoming a trauma bond and building a healthy relationship, please watch a second video from this series. So you can click here. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next videos.